Again. Okay. My name is Tony Berrient, and welcome to the Hearing Loss Association of America. This is the Mission Viejo chapter. And let's see, I'm going to try to get through some of these very quickly. Okay, here we go, right here. All right. This meeting is being recorded, and it will be posted on the chapter's YouTube channel. So if you go to my website, you can and click to YouTube, it'll go right to YouTube. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get a notice when the video has been uploaded. Okay. I'm going to run through these very quickly, but I do have a lot of things I want to say. Okay. This room has a hearing loop, and anybody who has a t-coil in their hearing aid and it's been activated and you can turn it on, make the switch now and you can hear directly. And if you don't know what a hearing loop is, and if you don't know if you have a t-coil, then we need to have a little talk afterwards. I want to be sure. If you're wearing hearing aids, there's a very good chance that you have a t-coil. It's just that your hearing aid dispenser needs to activate it and make it one of your programs. Stream text. If you notice on the bottom of the agenda handout, there is a QR code. If you have a smartphone and you hover your camera over the QR code and then tap the link that pops up, you'll get captions right on your smartphone. And you can do that whether in this room, whether you're at home at the towers, or wherever you are, you can get captions. I am trying to accommodate with captions over there, but this is the first time I've tried this and it's not working. In order to have captions, really good captions, we have these here, but if you can see that, that's great. But they're going to cover some of the slides. They're going to cover some of the slides. And so that's why I was trying to have a second source. And I will continue working on it. Good, it works, Vicki, yeah. Okay, this is a hybrid meeting. This is people here in the room, and we have people joining us on Zoom. So you should be able to see them up there. There's quite a few people. Yeah. Hi, everybody there on Zoom. Hi, Helen, Linda. Oh, yeah. Marilyn Freeman. Yes. Judy, Esther. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I can't read them all, but so glad that you joined us here today. We've got a great program for you. Okay. I have to say that HLAA does not endorse any single product or service. We don't sell anything. This meeting is intended to provide information, education, and support. We do have a sponsor, so I am going to mention them. I'm going to talk about Caption Call. Caption Call is a telephone that provides captioning for your existing landline phone, or you could have Vonage, you could have Magic Jack, you could have Uma, whatever home phone you have, they will bring in a phone. It's no charge. They'll provide captioning for your phone calls. I really find this very useful when I'm talking to the doctor's office, because almost inevitably they talk too fast and most people have an accent, and that's just difficult for me. So this is captioning for your landline phones. If you have an iPhone or an Android smartphone, they have an app, and you can get all of your calls captioned as well. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it one-on-one, because I can't make the whole meeting about that, but they do pay for the captioning. Gail is a captioner. She's providing the captions as we speak. She's located today in Chicago, and she's joined us online and said she can hear me quite well, so she's able to caption everything I'm saying. All right. Next. Our other sponsors, and Amazing Hearing and Mundell-Noel, and she's been with us for at least 11 years. She's come to just about every meeting, and she talks to you here at the meeting if you have questions, and she provides support for me when I'm supporting you. And I don't know what I would do without her. So she's one of our presenters today. Dr. Gabby also works for Amazing Hearing, and she's also here today. And I consider them a sponsor. Also, Hearing Now USA, Rick Archibald, he is a loop installer. He installed the room in this, the loop in this room, and all of the rooms in Laguna Woods auditoriums that have a majority of the clubhouses have loops. So I do have a list of them up there on the table out there. You're welcome to have it. Okay. I want to talk to you about the HLAA, Hearing Loss Association Convention, coming up in 2024. And I'm going to be talking a lot about this because it's in Phoenix. It's on the West Coast. Most of them wind up on the East Coast or in the South. So it's not that far. We could carpool, we can caravan, and also the hearing losses, the Mission Viejo chapter is going to sponsor a delegate to go. So what that means is you're going to get half price on the registration, and we will pay that for you. We'll reimburse you on your return. We'll work that out. But I would like someone as a delegate. I'm also allowed to have special discounts for officers. So I have a treasurer and I have a secretary, and they're both considering, you know, going to the convention, especially since it's in Phoenix, West Coast. And so I'd really, really, really like you to think about it. They're going to have 20 or more workshops. Each workshop is going to be educational on a variety of topics. There's a keynote speaker who's going to be talking about the emotional side of hearing loss. So, and they're very, very educated people, usually audiologists who've been in the hearing healthcare industry for a long time. So please visit the hearingloss.org website. Talk to me. I will. The website has all kinds of information about the actual workshops that are going to be held, and also there's going to be an enormous exhibit hall. And this is a place where every representative for every hearing aid company will be there. And you can go and talk to them, find out what's good, what's not, you know, why you should have their hearing aid. Every cochlear implant company will be there. Every captioning telephone, every hearing accessible telephone company will be there. Actually, usually Verizon is there, and T-Mobile and AT&T. These people give away prizes, and they just make it fun for everybody. So, humongous exhibit hall. It's, to me, it looks like Santa's toy store. I just love it. It's just so much to learn. about your hearing loss and about what's available for you. Everybody's hearing loss is different. You know, you've heard of that there for autism, there's a spectrum. Well, on hearing loss, there's a spectrum. So there's mild, and there's people like me that are profound. So everybody needs something new, everything and different. So this is how you can go around and find out what will work for you. There's a lot of demo rooms where you can demonstrate and get really hands-on. So please consider, it's June the 26th through the 29th. You can go for a single day. You can go all days, 1 or 2 or 3 days. And there's special rates at the hotel that it's being handled. It's handling it where it's going to be. Let's see, it's the Sheridan Grand Resort at Wild Horse Pass. Wow, does that sound like fun? Okay, so please talk to me and see what we can do to get you there. I've already registered, I'm going. Okay, that's all for me. Stop sharing. And I'm going to go back and get the other PowerPoint. And I want to introduce you all to, from the beginning. Okay. Who's going to be up first? What's that?
Go by the slide. If you advance the slides.
Slide is up. Oh, okay. Oh. So Anne is going to come up first. And today's topic is, we're talking about oral rehabilitation and why it's important. So Anne, you come on up. You take the mic.
You just have to do that, and then it says register. Do you want to go to? It says when the meeting is.
Something didn't work here.
You need to slide. You need to share the slide deck.
Okay, hold on. Okay, you know what I did? I didn't do this right. Thank you, Alan. I didn't share screen. I just jumped to the slide. Okay. Okay, thanks, Alan.
Are we good? We are going to just jump through this very quickly. I'm Anne. I'm with Amazing Hearing, and I have the privilege, as Tony said, of being here for several years helping the club. Because of time, most of you know who I am. Our office is over in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center, but our goal as audiologists is to provide the highest level of hearing healthcare in a very safe and effective and empathetic environment. So I'm very thankful to be here today. I'm followed by Dr. Gabby Rodrigues. And Dr. Gabby joined us in July of last year. And I'm also going to introduce Cindy Nirenberg. And Cindy is a speech language pathologist, and she will be doing most of the talking today about oral rehab. I have known Cindy as a colleague for over 30 years. Sorry to say we've been in the industry that long, or proud to say. But she is an amazing woman who loves to work with seniors and loves hearing therapy. She loves to do oral rehab. So we connected through a mutual friend recently, reconnected, and decided to start this oral rehab program in January. So it's just getting kicked off. It is something that is not readily available. So the fact that we have this amazing speech language pathologist wanting to provide this service at a very, very nominal fee is very exciting. So we're going to jump right into arrow keys. Don't make Gabby here. Okay, so there's Dr. Gabby and the beautiful picture of her, and Cindy Nirenberg in a beautiful picture. She's like, So I'm going to have Dr. Gabby start us out a little bit about what is oral rehab. And notice that it's A-U-R-A-L, oral for ear, not O-R-A-L for mouth.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. So if you saw our discussion or came to our discussion in November, I think it was, we just kind of scratched the surface of what oral rehab is. We'll do a deeper dive today. Oral rehab is essentially hearing therapy. So your hearing aids are giving you access to sounds, but taking it one step further, working on word understanding and comprehension of the sounds that the hearing aids are helping you get. This can have positive long-term effects on people in social situations, not shying away because you're a little nervous or anxious that you're not going to hear or understand well, but providing you the confidence to kind of enter any situation with different keys and tools to equip yourself to understand the best you can. So let's talk about who can provide oral rehab. Audiologists can provide oral rehab. It's not something that a lot of audiologists do. Most of the time, it's a speech language pathologist like Cindy who actually provides the rehabilitation portion. There also are some on kind of complementary activities and courses you can do, but definitely getting established with an audiologist or an SLP is the best first route. So who is a candidate for oral rehab? If you guys are here at this meeting, you're probably a candidate for oral rehab. Those with a hearing loss are candidates, specifically those with a significant hearing loss. So if you're somebody who gets kind of that social anxiety when you're going into the dining hall or into a restaurant, you know that that's a place where you have to work a little bit harder to get the message. You're a really good candidate for this therapy. Also, when you come into the office and we do some testing with you, if you have a pretty significant hearing loss or background noise is a place on the Quicksen test that you struggle, you're a great candidate to receive this therapy. The last one is also a good bullet point up here behind me. Those with macular degeneration or with other eyesight issues rely even more so on their hearing. So any bit of fine tuning that we can do with the hearing, we will take.
Thank you, Dr. Gabby. So this is just a diagram of the ear, and we usually review this every meeting, so it shouldn't be too foreign to you. But the main thing that I want to show you here is that the left side of our hearing goes over to the right side of our brain, and the right side of our hearing goes over to the left side of our brain, and the two sides connect. So it's very important that our ears are balanced because that's how the brain receives the sound. So they're talking independently and together, collectively. But what I want to point out here is the organ of hearing. There's 4 parts of our hearing. I'm going to go back a second. There's 4 parts of our hearing. You can see we have the outer ear, which is the ear pinna and the canal that goes down to the eardrum. So that side collects the sound and brings it in. things that could cause that to not work efficiently would be what? What would be something? Wax. Yep. Is there anything else you can think of that might be blocking in that outer ear section? Congestion. Congestion is in the next section for eustachian tube, but in this one, it could be an obstruction. Somebody puts a little pea in their ear or a Q-tip. We see tips of Q-tips in there besides the wax. Some people who are surfers could have some calcium buildup, but most of the time it's wax that's causing the biggest issue in that area. The next area, the middle ear, is where the 3 little bones are, and the eustachian tube that goes down into our throat. So Joyce, you're correct in saying that's the area that can have some congestion. That's where we get middle ear fluid, is in that area. I'm not going to go into detail on all of that, but just know that's the biggest issue, or a stiffening of the bones called otosclerosis. So some people genetically will have the bones where they're stiff and they don't move easily. And that is something that could be causing hearing loss in that area. The next area, though, is where we're really going to focus, and that is called the inner ear or the cochlea. And the advantage in that area is that's where all of the hair cells and nerves are that lead up to the brain. So that little organ of hearing is the size of a pea. So if you take your fingertip like this and then put your finger right at the edge of it and look at it, that's how big the organ of hearing is. And because it's so tiny, one of the most important things in that organ is blood flow. So as we get older, our blood doesn't flow as well, and then we have hearing loss due to aging. The other thing that can affect that cochlea, it can be medications. So certain medications are ototoxic or cause damage to the inner ear. And we're going to focus on that because that is where the hearing loss, either between that cochlea or the nerve that's going up to the brain, gets damaged in such a way that even when we put sound in with the hearing aid, the brain says, I'm not getting it. Let me show you.
Excuse me.
Yes.
This is Alan.
Uh-huh.
Can you take a step to your right towards the mic stand? Because
you want me to be more in center?
yes, because no one's going to be able to see your face.
Thank you. I was trying to stay away for them, so thank you for bringing that to my attention. What happened to our screen? So let's try it again. Okay. So what I want to show you here is the bottom is a rope that is healthy. Okay. I wanted to use this as a visual explanation of what's happening in your auditory nerve. As we get older, the nerve starts to fray a little bit. But in some people, and we're not exactly sure of all the causes, but like I said, medication and genetics can be a big factor, but the rope frays even more. And so think of a transmission of an electrical line. We're trying to get the sound from one side to the other. And in this case, we only have a little transmission line helping us out. And that is why the brain does not get the clarity of the sound. The nerve is damaged in such a way that the transmission is getting lost. And so what we're going to do today is Cindy is going to focus on how we can get improved speech understanding in difficult situations and how to become more confident in social situations. Does that make sense to you? Does anybody have any questions yet about that portion of it, about the physical portion of hearing? Okay. So, Miss Cindy. Right there in the middle. Okie dokie.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Cindy Nirenberg, and I'm a speech language pathologist. and I've been practicing for over 30 years. And one of the areas that I have always loved practicing in is the area of oral rehabilitation and helping people to understand speech better, to pay attention to the sounds that are in their environment, and to also be able to manipulate their environments so that they hear better. So essentially, it's taking responsibility and ownership of your hearing loss to make the world work for you. So one of the things, excuse me, that Anne brought up was confidence in social situations. And these are some of the things that we will be talking about in oral rehab group therapy, in addition to specific exercises that we will be doing, which would allow you to practice hearing different speech sounds and a little bit of lip reading. So today we're going to talk about confidence in social situations first, and then we're going to do a very short lip reading exercise. So I came up with 3 things that get in the way of confidence. You know, when you go into a room and you're like, I'm not going to be able to hear. It's going to be a miserable evening. I just want to go home. When is this going to be over? Right? So one of the things I want you to think about, first of all, the first thing that gets in the way of confidence in social situations is perfectionism. And you will know you're in the realm of perfectionism when you start hearing yourself say things like should, shouldn't, if only. You somehow want to change what is actually going on in the present. So a lot of shoulds that I hear are things like, I should be able to hear. I should know what they're saying. I should understand them the first time. I shouldn't need repetition. And I shouldn't have come here. Think about those statements. None of them can you change other than maybe the last one. So it doesn't give you much power. And in oral rehab, we talk about regaining your power in social situations, because so many of us tend to make our world smaller so that we're just having communication with one other person, maybe your spouse or maybe one of your kids. And what we want to do is we want to open up that world. So when we're saying things to ourselves like, I should be able to do this, we're putting ourselves kind of behind the 8 ball. And there's a wonderful, wonderful book. If any of you are avid readers, there's a book called The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And they talk about when we are in the gap is where we think we have so far to go and we're never going to get to our ideal. And we get discouraged and we get frustrated. But when we are in the gain, then we measure our progress from where we were at the beginning, and then we get to where we are today, and we're dealing with reality, not shoulds, not ideals, and not failures. We're dealing with reality for today. And that's what we need to learn in oral rehab is you have to deal with your hearing loss today. Not what you did last year, not what you did before you got a hearing, any kind of amplification system, but what you're doing today. How do I best communicate? So that perfectionism will not serve us. And we want to tell our brains, oh, no, not today. Today we're dealing in reality. Second thing, we talk about your thoughts and the runaway inner critic. Can any of you tell me like a typical thought that you have that is self-critical when you're trying to listen to somebody and you're having difficulty hearing? Can anybody tell me a negative kind of critical thought that's running through your head? Yes, Vicky.
Well, I will ask someone, can you please speak up? Can you please face me? And they don't, especially young people. It just seems to continue at the same volume.
Okay.
In a way.
So Vicky says, for our Zoom people, Vicky says she asks people to speak up, to help her hear better, and they don't. They just look around like there's something on the ceiling, right? What is your thought in that situation?
I feel maybe they think I'm old, or I feel like there's a perception which maybe I'm contributing to.
Okay.
Some people can't hear, so.
She's gonna repeat
I'm
it.
gonna repeat everything, Tony.
Tony, he's repeating it all.
Yeah, I will repeat everything that I
We can
said.
take the microphone to her.
Okay.
I'm giving you space.
You are?
Yes.
Okay, so again, you're in a situation where you ask people to clarify, now you have unplugged it. Right.
The cat.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. There we go. Yeah, Tony. Staying. So you have someone to clarify, you ask them to look at you, and they don't do that. How did that make you feel?
It makes me feel like perhaps I didn't communicate properly, that I'm the one at fault, and also that we're lacking in some sort of education, especially for young people, what it means to say I'm hard of hearing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful response. That's beautiful. Vicky's going to be our speaker next month. Good job. Yeah, so that's what happens. We tend to take a lot of responsibility on our shoulders, don't we? And yet we live in a society where we interact with other people. And that's what communication is all about, a back and forth communication. So if you're the only one taking responsibility for that level of communication, you're assuming you're taking on a whole load of responsibility that really is not yours to carry. So our thoughts, the second one is our thoughts being that inner critic. When people tell me all the time, they have thoughts like, nobody wants to talk to me. Or I can't hear. That just keeps going through your head again and again. This is just too hard. I just want to go home. These are the thoughts that keep running in your head. Now, I want to do a little exercise with you today. And these are kind of some of the little kind of games that we'll play in Aural Rehab, because I really want to drive this point home. When you have these negative thoughts running through your head, they take up space. And when you are also trying to hear, you're doing your best to hear the person across the room from you, you've got two things going on in your brain. So what I want you to do today is I want you to count backwards from 40 by twos, right? So let's practice that so that we don't feel bad about it, right? 40, 38, 36, 34, 32, 30. All right, now I want you to do that same thing in your head. I want you to practice. Keep going. Don't stop at 30, but keep going. So do it in your head for just a minute. Got it? All right. Now I want you to start again at 40 and just go ahead and count backwards. I should be by twos. I should be able to hear. I should know what they're saying. I should understand them the first time. I shouldn't need repetition. Shouldn't come. Nobody wants to talk to me here. And I'm damaged and I can't hear. How was that?
I chew that.
Yeah. Did you? Good. Good, because most of us can't.
They repeat what he said.
Oh, Vicky said she tuned me out, what I was saying, the negative thoughts, and that she was able to just focus on counting. How many, by show of hands, were not able to focus on their counting? How many noticed a big interruption? And I want you to think about, these are the tapes that play in our head as we're trying to, to communicate with other people. You can't have two things going on at the same time. And we want to get rid of some of those blaming, shaming thoughts. The third thing that I wanted to talk about what gets in the way of confidence is, we don't think about this very often, that it takes up a lot of space in our brain, but it's what we think others are thinking about us. Now, the older I get, the more I realize nobody's thinking about me at all. They don't care, right? But we go through and we say things like, they must think I'm snobby. They must think I'm dumb. They don't want to work so hard to be able to communicate with me. And I'm no fun, and I just don't care. All things that you think other people may be thinking about you. And they keep you from being your true self. They keep you small, they keep you quiet, and they keep you unengaged. And we want to get rid of that. We want to take our hearing loss and loud and proud educate other people, because people need to be educated more and more. And that is the only responsibility that we have. So today, let's see. What I would like to do, I'm going to move ahead to this next slide. And we are going to do a small little lip reading exercise. And it's probably going to be easier for our Zoom people. And for the Zoom people, I will try to keep my microphone down so that you can see my lips a bit. But in aural rehab, one of the things that I always teach is that it is important to use every modality that we have to be able to hear. So if you went into an environment and you closed your eyes, you would not be able to understand as well, because we get a lot of contextual cues from speakers' faces and from their tone of voice. So for instance, if I asked you, what will you do la? What happened? Did you hear what I said? No, because what I said didn't make sense, right? But you know I asked you a question, don't you? How do you know I asked you a question?
The pause and the do.
Okay, Vicky says the pause and the do. Also, you know, I'm maintaining eye contact with you. I typically have my eyebrows raised. I clearly am expecting a response from you. But if you had gone into that room with your eyes closed, you would know none of that. You'd just be like, I don't know what, Cindy just stopped talking. I don't know what's wrong. So today, we're gonna use some of those visual cues so that we can start to understand a little bit what people are saying. Now we're gonna start with some basic lip reading. This is like lip reading 101 at the very beginning. And I'll describe these sounds for you, and then we're gonna practice them together. So the sounds that we're going to use today are the sounds P, which sounds like H, the sound B, which sounds like B, and the sound M, which sounds like. People go, how come it doesn't sound like B? Right? We'll deal with vowels later. But in the beginning, we're just going to use the first sounds, P, B, and M. So when you pronounce these words, the way they look on your lips is exactly the same. So if you're relying strictly on lip reading and not using your ears and your brain, you are not going to be able to tell the difference. But you can tell the difference if you start paying attention to the context of the sound. So for instance, if I used, we're going to stick with P, B, and M today, and we could do pad, bad, and mad. They all look the same, don't they? If you can see my lips, pad, bad, and mad. So now you're going to have to come up with some different context. They also have some very intricate changes in the way they are pronounced. So when you pronounce the sound pa, what happens to your lips? What happens? Explosive, right? Joyce said it's explosive. The sound just kind of comes out. So when I'm saying each of these sounds, I'm moving my lips together. Pa, ba, My lips are just coming together. With the P sound, the pa sound, there's a puff of air that comes out. We call that P a voiceless P because you're not using your voice when you say it. When you say pa, 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 there's no sound to that. You don't use your larynx. When you use the B sound, now you're going to engage your larynx. So now you'll say ba. And what I want you guys to do is place your hands, can you see me at home? Place your hands on your larynx, also your Adam's apple or voice box, commonly called. And I want you to swallow and tell me what you feel. It goes up and down, doesn't it? In a normal swallow, a typical larynx will move about 3/4 to an inch of an excursion if your muscles are moving appropriately. So that's, pardon me? Spring, we got it. So when you use the B sound, you hear that voicing that comes out, different from P, but B, because I want you to touch your larynx again, and I want you to say B, 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 B. What do you feel? What are we feeling? B, B, a vibration, correct? All right, so when you do, there's no vibration because you're not using your voice box at all. When you use your voice box, then all of a sudden you don't have a P anymore, you have a B. So it gets confusing. Now I'm going to throw one more into the works, and that is the sound. When you produce an M sound, you are using all of the resounding qualities in your nasal passages, your oral passages. You're going to get a humming or a buzzing up here in your nose. So everybody practice. Where do you feel that? I can feel it kind of at the sides of my nose a little bit. Because this is where the sound is coming from now. Do you feel it more down here? Okay. What happens when you have a cold is that your nasal passages get infected and clogged up. And then when you want to say an M sound, it sounds like a B.
So he said, I don't know, I've got a cold. Right? The doctor says I've got a bass on my thyroid. You say you got a bass on your thyroid? No, I've got a bass. But you can see how all that area is blocked off. So there are 3 nasal sounds in the English language. They are M, N, and ing, the NG sound. So just knowing that, you can kind of begin to utilize that when you're listening to other people speak. And you can kind of begin to learn when people are using their larynx and when people are not using their larynx. So we're going to practice a little bit today. All right, so we've got P, B, and M words, and I made it very simple for us today because we are going to use just these sounds at the beginning of the word. But recognize these sounds also can come in the middle of the word and at the end of the word. So I think of the P sounds. All right. Some of the P sounds that are at the bottom of that list are pepper. And can you see, I can read your lips so beautifully. What is your name? Lois. You have beautiful lips. Pepper, I can see somewhere in the middle of that word, there's either a P, a B, or an M. And I don't have to hear anything that you're saying, but I can decide that. So what I want you to do, we're just going to repeat some words today, and I want you to really key into what piece of your anatomy is being utilized. Is it your lips? Is it your tongue? Is it your jaw? Is it your larynx? Is it your nose? And I'll just ask you some questions. So let's take our first word is pal. What do we know about the word pal? Starts with a, right? Starts with the p sound. And we also know that when we say the pal, the word, we really don't have to use our voices with that. It's apple. Apple is what it is. So once we add a vowel to one of these silent sounds, then it appears to have voicing to it, but it doesn't. So I listed the words pal, pick, part, price, and pepper. I don't think we can see those two. Price and pepper are the last ones. If I were to just lip or mouth the words, do you think you would be able to pick out which word it is? Maybe. You know what? Let's work with the words that we can see. Let's work with pal, bad, mass, pick, better, more, part, bakery, and must. You can see all of those words on the screen, yes? Okay. All right. So I am going to mouth one of the words. My husband would be thrilled that for once I kept my mouth shut. He should be here. All right. I'm going to say the first word. You tell me what I'm saying. Which one? Sounds like that. It's going to be, it shouldn't sound like anything. Right. It looked like past. So think about the words that we have. Joyce, winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
What did you say?
Before. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So Joyce said we are lip reading the word mass, and she is able to do that well because she learned how to lip read before she lost her hearing. Beautiful, beautiful. How about this word? Oh, see how the vowels change? It's going to be one of the 9 words on the stage, on the screen.
Yeah. Nope, you hang in there, Joyce. You're doing great. Great. Joyce said pick. She's correct. Pick. Try this one. Okay, yay. Another Joyce. Oh, we have the Joyces today. Wonderful. Joyce said the word better. It's easy to see because you know at the beginning of that word, there's either a P, a B, or an M. Try this word. Being Cindy, I will, ma'am. How about everybody at home? Anybody at home who can tell us what word that was? You can unmute yourself. Okay. That one's a little tougher because at the end of that word has more of the silent letters. There are a lot of letters that are very visible on your lips, and there are some letters that are not as visible. And the S's are kind of a difficult word to get. So that letter was, or that word was must. Must, absolutely. But now let me make this easier on you. Let me just make sure I have all these words. I'm going to give you a sentence, and the final word is going to be one of the words on the screen. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Tony is my hero. Okay, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 words. Pal, pick, heart, price, pepper. Pepper is one of those words that has the P sound in the middle as well as at the beginning. That should be a very pretty easy word to lip read. Bad, better, bakery, break, bubble, again, that double sound in the middle and at the beginning. Mass, more, must, mean, and match. What I'm going to do is give you something that usually is a little more realistic for you, in that when we speak with other people, we listen for the context of what's going on. So for instance, if you walked into a restaurant and this aroma of freshly baking bread hit you, and you're just like, I can't think of anything but this bread, it's so delicious, you probably already know that the conversation at your table is probably going to be about the bread, and you can anticipate some of these things. Another way to do that, and we do a lot of this in Aural Rehab, is listen for the context in the sentence, and you can most likely come up with the word, even when it's difficult to read. So now we're using our brains, we're using our eyes, and we're using our ears, and we're watching the lips. So let's try this. This is going to be a P word. He bargained for a better, right? Price. Very good. Everybody at home, did you get that? He bargained for a better. All right. Another P word. This one's easy. Please pass the salt and, yeah, you already knew where I was going with that, right? So you can fill that in. So give yourself credit for being able to anticipate what somebody else is going to say. She bought an eclair at the bakery. Very good. All right, let's do about 5 more of these and then we'll call it quits. We could make a fire if only we had a, yes ma'am, you got it. May I please have some more? Wonderful. Don't drop it.
or it will. Yeah. The farmer brought a hoe and a pick. Absolutely. Tony got that one. Tony's sitting over to my side too. The bubble gum was perfect for blowing a giant bubble. You kind of anticipated that one, didn't you? I'm exhausted and ready for a yes, break. And then the last one, I used to say this to my kids all the time. I'm not going to tell you again. You already know better, right? So don't you feel like at the end of that exercise that you have accomplished something when it comes to lip reading skills? Like you can take away today. My goal always when I work with you is that you walk away with at least one valuable tip that you can take out and practice tonight. So now you know that P, the B, and the M look the same on the lips, but you can key into watching people's lips as you speak to them because you get more information from them.
I've learned over the years that mostly we look at people's eyes when we talk to them. I can tell you about your dental care, but I don't have a clue what your eyes are. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so when we leave today, Joyce will be saying the lady with the pink lipstick and the lady with the crown and the gold crown in front. Yeah, wonderful, with no eyes. So that will give you a little taste of the kinds of things that we do in oral rehab. They're practice exercises. I always tell my clients when they go home, if they're not practicing the tasks that we rehearsed in therapy, then they're kind of letting it all go to waste. You really need to take this information and take it out into what's meaningful to you. Because my whole life as a therapist, I have always been concerned that we deal with the functional activities, not therapeutic, not pie in the sky, but what is important to you when you go home. Tony mentioned earlier today that every hearing loss is different. Every person's ability to hear speech in noise and in quiet is different. And that's when therapy comes in really, really well, oral rehab, because if I work with you one-on-one, I get to hone in on what you think your deficits are and the things that are bothering you. But we can also know that when we experience a hearing loss, probably everybody in this room has some commonality that they're experiencing. So we can talk about those things too. Yes.
Wondering, I'm finding right now, so many people are wearing masks. I asked them, I don't understand you. Would you take off your mask? And maybe that's not a good thing to say because I'm asking them to risk their health by taking their mask off. And I just kind of don't do it.
I know. So what Lois said was, she's having a lot of difficulty now that so many people are wearing masks and she has so much trouble hearing what they're saying. And that either they don't take off their mask or they just repeat things again. And so she says, I just give up and then I don't ask them or I don't continue with the conversation. Is that right? Yeah. So again, we talked about taking responsibility for your hearing loss. You can only take responsibility for ourselves. You cannot take responsibility for other people. So Lois, you may say to me, Cindy, could you take your mask off, knowing that maybe you are putting my health at risk? But that is my decision, whether I want to take that mask off or not. And I really want to talk to you. So my mask is coming off, but I got to make the choice. You can ask for what you need, but please don't be hurt or offended if you've asked and other people don't respond. Because again, we can only change our actions, and you made that perfectly clear what you needed. So you can go home saying, I made it as clear as a bell and they chose not to do it. Well, versus those negative things, those negative thoughts, like, well, they didn't care enough about me to want to talk to me. No, they for whatever reason that maybe they have an autoimmune disorder and they don't want to share that with you. They don't know you well enough to share that with you right now. So we never know what other people are thinking, but we think we do. Yes, ma'am.
When you want to come up? Take the microphone to her.
Okay.
When I ask someone to put their mask down, but they're careful not to, I carry a pen, a little tablet, and I ask them, would you please write it? And so that's how we compromise. Something like this.
Sure. Tony?
You actually handwrite it on a piece of paper?
Well, I have the captions on my phone, or if they're comfortable, just write it, But then you have to explain the whole caption and everything.
A lot of times, I don't even want to know that I'm using live captioning. I just have to talk and it shows up. I don't put it in the face.
For those who do not have that live caption on their phone, can you tell them exactly what it's called and come get it?
Live caption.
Come up to the screen.
There is an iPhone version, but you have to pay for it. It's like $2 or $3 for it. Subscribe to keep it, and it's not as robust. It doesn't respond as quick.
So I just want to
And
add.
back to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass this one over to Ann.
One thing I would like to add is that when you wear a mask, even people with normal hearing lose 12% of comprehension because the mask is blocking the projection of the sound. So even people with normal hearing cannot get the clarity with the mask on. So I know some people feel more comfortable with the mask on, and we're not mandated right now to wear masks. Yet even when we were mandated to wear a mask, people with a hearing loss and people communicating with people with a hearing loss were exempt from wearing a mask. So you had the right to ask people to do what Cindy had just told you. And that was by the state of California from day one.
And I was in research. They did at that time, not, and we always come from them, and they were not in. She had a mask on, and she asking questions. Listen, one more time, I am hearing impaired. You have to be no, in order to get through this pre-examination. So she walked out, and they sent to get somebody who signed. So I said to the lady, and that I got through. Will you please let me This took a whole hour and finally that and we would answer the question of we would.
Thank you for sharing. In the essence of time, I just want to honor, because this is supposed to be just an hour class. I don't know, Tony, as far as from this point forward, we can talk. Cindy is offering an oral rehab class that is the third Tuesday of every month from 2:15 to 3:15 over at the Florence Sylvester Center over by Polly's Pies. You got that in a flyer. Correct. And if you didn't get it, we'll have them at the table and Tony will be able to put that on the presentation. What I do want to say is that it is only $15 a session for an hour of therapy with a licensed speech language pathologist. And it is group therapy as well. So you get to be with, it's limited to 25 people. And right now I think that there are 13 people who have signed up for regular spots. So if you would like to participate in that, you do need to register. And you would have to call the office so that our office, which is on one of the sheets, so that we can get you on Cindy's list.
Thank you. And then I just want to add that if you do sign up for the therapy at $15 per session, it is the bargain of the century. So I hope to see you and thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, all three of you. Thank you, ladies. And you always bring the good stuff to us. Thank you. Okay. I need to make some announcements that I didn't make before. There was in the email that you get from me, there was a trip planned to Fullerton, to the spaghetti factory and to the train station. That's been canceled. So what I would like to suggest instead is that, especially here locally, that it was on the 17th, next Saturday, that maybe we could do a no-host lunch at Polly's Pies. What do you think? No? What I like about Polly's Pies is they have the room in the back. And so we can have a little private space, and because it's really hard for them to put together the people. I'm going to send out an email in a day or so. I need to talk to Polly's Pies. Do you have another suggestion? Yes, Joyce.
I don't like to go that far. What about
Rogers Gardens?
Olive Garden? And the big huge garden, have to pay a fee and everything.
Rogers Gardens. Tony?
It's right on the main street.
Can we talk about this?
Rogers Garden?
No.
I'd like to find out, but what I'd like to be sure to do is introduce some social events. And the lady who was organizing the Fullerton trip is going to reschedule that. Apparently, the schedule for the train museum is not what she thought it was. There was a misunderstanding there. So she's going to get more in touch with that, and we'll get notice, and I'll send it all out. So those people, Robin is her name. She organizes socials for hard of hearing people for the Orange County chapter, which is no longer. But they were going out all the time. So they're going to continue to go out, and we're included because their chapter for every legal purpose and has merged with the Mission Viejo chapter. So I would like to have more social. I prefer in everything I do to be with hard of hearing people because you get me. I get you. We get each other. And so, and we don't mind asking for repeats. Except some people do. There's some cranky people, and even though they're hard of hearing, they don't like to be asked to repeat. So that's okay, they got something to learn. We all have something to learn. It's socializing, and when we fall short of our capabilities, then people have patience with us, vice versa. So that was really important for me to tell you about. This social event has been canceled, and I will be sending out an email before the day is out for those people who were planning on going. The other thing is, for the most part, I have Daniel over here who's just a tremendous amount of help. But as far as the planning is concerned, who we have as presenters, do we serve coffee? Do we not? Do we have brochures? What do we do? I need a planning committee. I would like people to join in and help with the decisions of what this organization does and what it can do. So that means I need volunteers, obviously. Make refreshments. We're going to keep it super simple. And technical setup, just be here and be support. You know, I'm trying to do all this stuff technically, and I could use some help. Put up my computer and put up that computer, you know, just help with that. We need some projects, advocacy projects. So what advocacy project should we do? One that I think would be wonderful is that we need to call on all of the admission offices in the hospitals, and we need to advocate to have a special bracelet put on that we're hard of hearing. Hallelujah. Yeah. And we also need to promote the idea of them providing the live transcribed tablets at the bedside. If you need to talk to somebody,
I'll get that.
ordering food on the phone. Release me. In the hospital. I mean, there's a small tablet I take with me. I take it to church. And
Tony.
I showed it at the last meeting. Yeah, true.
So Tony is pulling out her pad, which is an Android, and she's going to turn it on. And then when it's got live transcribe already going, so that as somebody is speaking, it's picking it up on the pad. Can you come over here so they can see you?
Well, I don't know if they're going to be able to see it there.
Well, they can at least see that there's the pad.
Oh, this is everybody on Zoom's going to see it.
No,
Okay.
I understand.
So I sit in church and I just put it on my lap and I share it with a heart. And everything comes out. It's not 100% perfect. It's AI. So, but really. So this is a little investment. It wasn't too terribly bad. You can do this on your smartphone if you have an Android phone. And I'll tell you, I don't know what I do with them. So that's just one solution. So there are so many things. Since the pandemic, we used to have 80 people at a meeting. And now we're down to, I think we have 20 people here. And we have quite a few online. So thank you all for joining us online. But it's going to be a while before we get into gear. But if we had enough people, should we have splinter groups? Meaning, would you like to have a hard of hearing book club? Meet once a week? Not a big meeting like this. It's just somebody that, you know, it would gather up 2 or 3 people maybe and meet in their living room or in a clubhouse. So that's, or a Bible study. Would that be great? How about a ping pong group? Right here, if you live here in Laguna Woods, we got a ping pong group. Checkers or chess. Get together socially, play cards. Should we have a splinter group? Should we encourage that? People can go on their own to do that, but we would help people meet each other to do that. So that's what I'm saying. There's so many things that we could do. So I'm going to be appealing on my email. And also, Daniel tells me this all the time. We have expenses. It costs $50 a month for this room. And we're not even coming close to recouping that money. So we need donations. The Hearing Loss Association of America just this week, just this last week, has done away with memberships. So, so I could charge a membership here, but I don't do that. I just, if you find this information valuable, if you are benefiting from attending the meetings and participating, please consider donating. Yes, Louis. Okay, the Zoom meetings. She asked about the Zoom.
If you just met by Zoom instead of renting the room. But
Yes, it's $149 a year for Zoom. But the thing is, there's many people that won't do Zoom. They don't have a computer, they don't know how to deal with it, they don't, it's just not something that they want to do. We've lost a lot of people. We used to meet on Tuesdays for pre-pandemic, and then when we came back after the pandemic for just a short while, we were in the Elm room, and we're meeting on Fridays, and you know, so we're kind of all over the place. So people aren't really finding us. So
I thought you were being subsidized by your own company that you were.
no, Caption Call pays for captions. The cost of the captions. Who wants me?
Go in front of the screen so they can see you. There you go.
Okay, here we are. Okay, okay, Elkin is there. We have a lot of people here from Laguna Woods. Does anybody just raise your hands if you have any comments you'd like to make? I can't see everybody all at one time. So Alan, if there's anybody that has any questions, let me know. Or is there anything in the chat?
Let's see. Ruth says, what's the name of the app?
The app is called Live Transcribe. Alan, I'll be contacting you.
Cindy has to leave. She's got an appointment. So if anybody has any quick questions that you want to ask her here in person, she can give you 2 seconds on her way out, but I just want to give her a round of applause. Thank her for her.
And thank you, Cindy. And actually, our time is up here, so I'll stay in the room. And I will say goodbye to everybody on Zoom. And if you'd like to talk to me, talk to Cindy, talk to Ann, this is your opportunity to do so. All right. Alan, thank you so much for, and Joe, captioner. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Alan, would you close the meeting?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.